Welcome back to Recap in Minutes. In today's video, we will be going through a 2021 American horror and thriller movie called Malignant. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In 1993, at the Simeon Research Hospital, Dr. Weaver is recording a video log regarding someone named Gabriel and how he has become more unstable. Dr. Weaver is then alerted that Gabriel has broken free and is going on a rampage. Several hospital staff members are brutally killed by Gabriel in a locked room. A security tries to tranquilize Gabriel, but he breaks his arm. Finally, Dr. Weaver is able to tranquilize him. She and her colleagues are able to enter. They find the corpses of the staff. We see a pair of a child's leg, and then they manage to grab and detain Gabriel. When Dr. Weaver addresses Gabriel, a glimpse is shown of a grotesque creature screeching at everyone. Gabriel also causes the lights to flicker and uses a radio to project his thoughts, saying he will kill them all. Dr. Weaver then declares, "It's time to cut out the cancer." In the present day, Madison is on her fourth pregnancy after suffering 3 previous miscarriages. She lives with her husband Derek, who is abusive and useless. Derek blames Madison for the loss of the babies, and during a heated argument, he throws her so hard against the wall that he cracks her head open and leaves a huge hole in the wall. Derek quickly tries to apologize and goes downstairs to get some ice before Madison locks herself in her bedroom with her head bleeding. Later that night, Madison sleeps while Derek hears a noise in the living room. He sees the blender has been turned on, and also the fridge suddenly opens on its own. He finds a shadowy figure appearing to watch TV, but when he turns on the lights, nobody is there anymore. Derek is stalked by the figure until it hits his head hard against the wall. Madison suddenly wakes up, still bleeding, and goes downstairs to see what is going on, where she finds Derek's body appears to have mangled his body. The dark figure then appears to chase Madison through the house until she gets knocked unconscious. Paramedics and authorities come upon the Mitchell house and take Madison to the hospital. She is met by her sister, Sydney, who tells her that she was attacked, Derek is dead, and what's worse is that she has lost her baby again. Madison wails in agony. Madison's room is later visited by Detective Shaw, who speaks to Sydney as Madison cannot speak. She tells Shaw that Derek kept her away from Madison, so she never knew how abusive he was to her or that Madison suffered previous miscarriages. Shaw's partner Detective Moss tells him there is no print on Derek's body and suspects that Madison killed Derek herself for all the abuse. 2 weeks later, Madison returns home and tries to get her life back to normal. She hears noises and sees what looks like a shadowy figure outside on the street from her window. The next morning, she blocks every openings with wood planks for protection. When Sydney comes to visit later, Madison tells her something that she never knew. Before Sydney was born, Madison was adopted by Sydney's parents when she was about 9 years old, which leaves Sydney in shock. The next scene, an unnamed woman is acting as a tour guide for a group of people checking an underground exhibit. When the group leaves, the woman is left alone and is stalked by the figure. He attacks her and later brings her to an attic where he keeps her tied up. The figure demands to make a call to Dr. Weaver. At her home, now aged Dr. Weaver gets a call from the figure and hears it's time to cut out the cancer. She quickly remembers and brings out a file, looking at a picture. At night, Madison tries to do laundry, but she is startled when she sees what looks like Dr. Weaver yelling at her, asking why she is in her house. Madison then sees the figure approaching Dr. Weaver. Madison remains frozen in place and the surrounding transforms into Dr. Weaver's house. Through a staticky television, he utters the words, "It's time to cut out the cancer." Dr. Weaver knows it's Gabriel, and he proceeds to throw her around and grab a pointy trophy to stab Dr. Weaver to death. Madison suddenly finds herself back at her house, and Gabriel then takes the sharp end of the trophy and makes his own weapon out of it. Shaw and Moss later go to Dr. Weaver's home and investigate the crime scene, finding a picture of a girl named Emily May and then taking Dr. Weaver's patient records as evidence. Dr. Victor Fields, a former colleague of Dr. Weaver's, overhears about her death and is mortified by the circumstances. Dr. Field is stalked by Gabriel as well as he settles in for bed. Madison tries going to bed, but sees Dr. Fields in the bed next to her as Gabriel takes his weapon and proceeds to gruesomely stab Fields in the face and neck. Then Madison suddenly wakes up from her bed. Madison and Sydney go to Shaw and Moss with a description of her vision. They find the apartment building, but Shaw and Moss are forced to go knocking on all the doors on the top floor until they find Fields' room and discover his corpse. When they go back to the station, Madison tries to identify the killer, but can only come up with a monstrous facial description. She goes to the bathroom and gets a phone call from an unknown number. It is Gabriel speaking to her, telling Madison that her real name is Emily. Madison addresses Gabriel by name, meaning she does remember him. Madison and Sydney go to the home of their mother Jean, who becomes mortified when Madison brings up Gabriel. She gives the ladies a videotape of Madison as a child after her adoption, who appears to be talking to Gabriel as though he was an imaginary friend. Another tape shows Madison on Christmas talking to Gabriel on the phone and asking him not to kill baby Sydney. Shaw does more research into Dr. Weaver's work and learns of another colleague, Dr. John Gregory, involved in procedures with Gabriel. Sure enough, Madison sees herself in Dr. Gregory's home, just before Gabriel gets to him. Shaw finds Gregory's address and attempts to find him, but he ends up too late and discovers Gregory's corpse in a bathtub full of blood. Madison still finds herself seeing the scene in the bathroom as Shaw enters and tries to warn him as Gabriel appears. He nearly kills Shaw, but he shoots at Gabriel, who proceeds to flee through the fire escape. Shaw chases him and ends up in a dark alley where Gabriel nearly gets him again, but the villain ends up escaping. Shaw and Moss meet with Madison and Sydney again, plus a hypnotherapist, as they try to get Madison to remember her childhood connection to Gabriel. They know now that Dr. Weaver and her team had Madison, or Emily, as a case study. Madison remembers that Gabriel would speak to her as a child and do bad things that she would get blamed for, like putting his finger through a cake or even going as far as to get Madison to hold a knife and nearly kill her adoptive parents. Madison starts freaking out, saying that Gabriel was always making her take the blame, but she is snapped out of it. Moments later, the captured woman breaks free from her bonds, but as she tries walking away, she falls through the floor and lands in Madison's living room. The woman is taken to the hospital, and Madison is taken into custody for kidnapping. Shaw and Moss interrogate Madison, where she gets angered at the accusations to the point where she yells and causes all the lights to break. Shaw's phone then rings, and Gabriel's voice speaks to taunt them. This shows Madison innocence. Sydney gets the Simeon Hospital's address, where Madison was adopted, and goes out to find the place is now an abandoned building. She breaks in and manages to find tapes on Emily. She brings them home so she and Jean can watch. They learn that Madison's biological mother, Serena, had given up her children to the hospital because she was 15 and they were the product of rape, which Jean didn't know about since the hospital told her that Madison's mother died. They see Dr. Weaver doing a test with Madison, as she says that Gabriel speaks to her, and the camera pans over to reveal the truth. Gabriel is a formerly conjoined parasitic twin, akin to a teratoma tumor in the back of Madison's head. Dr. Weaver and her team surgically removed Gabriel from her body, but fearing that they might accidentally kill Madison, they took out only as much as they could while the rest of Gabriel remained dormant in her head. The visions that Madison had seen were Gabriel projecting images into her mind that made her think she was living normally in her house, when in reality he was taking over her body and using it to carry out the murders. When Derek smashes Madison's head against the wall, that brought Gabriel back out, and explains why Madison always wakes up with her head bleeding after seeing what Gabriel did. As this happens, Shaw learns from Sydney that the captive tour guide is Serena. Madison is in a prison cell with other women, who quickly antagonize her, and two of them begin to assault her. Gabriel proceeds to take over, revealing his hideous face from the back of Madison's head. Gabriel slaughters all the women in the cell one by one, and breaks free when a guard comes by to stop him. He recovers his signature suit and weapon before he rampages through the station and murders other guards. Shaw and Moss get to the scene to subdue Gabriel, but later get knocked out with a chair. Gabriel then proceeds to the hospital where Serena is admitted. On the other hand, Sydney is in the hospital to meet Serena. Once she gets there, Gabriel kills one guard by frying his pacemaker and shoots him. Gabriel makes it to Serena's room, while trying to kill Sydney for Madison choosing her over him as sibling. Serena wakes and apologizes to Gabriel for giving him up. At the moment, Shaw appears behind and shoots Gabriel. In return, he hurls his weapon at Shaw's chest and wounds him. Sydney tries to stop Gabriel from killing Serena. He hurls a hospital bed at her and appears to crush her, as she tries telling the subconscious Madison that Gabriel was responsible for her miscarriages, as he was feeding off the fetuses to regain power. Gabriel shoots Sydney in the head before going after Serena. She begged for her life, but still kills her, saying that it's her fault that he's a monster. Suddenly, the whole scene turns dark. Then Madison's voice calls out saying that Gabriel was always a monster. It turns out that she has now learned his mind manipulation skills and forced Gabriel to see what she wants, meaning he didn't kill Sydney or Serena. Madison regains control of her mind and body and creates a prison for Gabriel to be trapped in, never to allow him to hurt anybody ever again. All he can do is scream in futility from behind bars. Madison helps take the bet off Sydney and she embraces her, saying that she has always been her true sister. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to get notice when a new video is uploaded.